What's funny is that this profound revelation came from something that seems so trivial, but who says that consciousness can only be caught through complexity? And it's more to say that what worked then won't work now. If I was to go a step further into it, is understanding that the past can't give you the answers to the future. The past can't give you answers towards your future. And I'm not saying that experience doesn't help build certain things, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't even rely on certain past events. I'm not saying that at all. Actually, to make that clear, there's this thing that I want to read, and it says the past only exists as a memory. Look in the direction you plan to go. The past should be used as needed, as a reference or a tool. What the problem happens when you begin to build homes there in the past and live there. It enables your old behaviors. It gives you an excuse not to be accountable for the present. It's hard to move forward while you're holding on to the past. Moving forward while looking backwards is a sure way to crash. Whatever hurt you then isn't causing you any harm in this moment. And that is to say, furthering my point of understanding that what happened then and what worked then won't work now. And to bring up the trivial experience is that clearly I'm in a new space. Just moved, new city, new home, all these great things, right? For some people hate change. And one of the hardest parts about change is the inability to control. There's some type of submission that must occur when things begin to change, even in options and things that you wanted it to happen. Like I wanted to move here, but this is a different place, a different space, a different amount of area that I can use, and it's just much different than my other one. And as I was obviously, we just moved in, things are kind of crazy, but I knew I wanted to get back into the groove of things and just continue with my expression. Something that is, I'm not paid for this, this is completely free, but it makes me feel more like me. And this is something that I can control. But as I was trying to set everything up, I was trying to reflect on what I did then in a different space, in a different place, at a different time. And I realized that what worked then won't work now. And the longer that I try to hold on to what used to be only created more frustration in my current experience and in my present experience. And it's simply because I wasn't allowing myself to accommodate for what is new, because I was too busy thinking about what was. And although this is so trivial, if I take the context in which I grasp this revelation, it works in so many different ways, in such a more powerful, more edifying space, where a lot of times we enter into new situations that are now our current experiences, but we are not accommodating for now. We are reflecting on which was, or what was, and expecting to bring forth the experience. And sometimes we're not even trying to bring experience, but we're trying to bring the exact same situation into another one. And the thing is, that situation can't fit in this current box. A package, a packing metaphor, because I'm looking at these boxes, but it's understanding that you can't put what was into what is. It just won't work, because what is needs just as much, if not more, space to operate. And the more we try to fit in our previous or our past versions of self, even if it's not even physical, but sometimes just psychological, mental, emotional, We try to bring in this old baggage and it just won't work. There was many things that I had to leave or throw away so that when we entered into this new space, I could start anew. And some of those things I began to reflect and realize I grew out of. Some of these things I end up obtaining, but never actually used it. So I was just collecting, taking up space because I had the space to use. But as I got into this new space, which is significantly smaller than a place that I used to be, right? The home is bigger. That's a blessing by God. But this office is significantly smaller than the other one. I realized that I had to be more intentional with what I brought in. And sometimes that looks like life. Sometimes life is just that. Sometimes we had more space and we had an opportunity to fill it with more things, but just because we had the space doesn't mean we were utilizing it. Right? To use and to utilize are very different. And I realized I had more space, but I wasn't utilizing it. I was just using it. It became a clutter. It became something that I realized when I was packing it up that, as I said before, I was collecting rather than really using it to my benefit. Now here, I've brought everything that I know that I need, and now I have to be more intentional, right? I have to use more intent to maximize it. And that's just really to say this, that the past is a memory and it's a great one, but we were never meant to build homes there. Because the moment that we start building homes there is the moment that we stop being accountable for our present situation. And the truth is, what happened and what worked then won't happen and won't work now. It just can't, ultimately. Because the past can never give us real answers towards the future. We must press forward. We must act in this experience, in this current situation, to begin to do anything. And although to me, what isn't perfect still leads to some progression, because honestly, perfection never gets done. But ultimately, you can see this video. Ultimately, you can resonate. You can begin to reflect on your own life as I am currently. Because I didn't decide to wait till things were perfect, or I didn't decide to wait till things made sense. We just showed up. We just began the actions toward what's ultimately going to be the future. This becomes the future when you act in the present. So the past can't give it to you, but the present can. The present has all of the answers. The past only has memories. Memories of versions of yourself of when you acted in the present then. That's all the past is. It's just a collection. Right? It's just a collection. It was used. Those seconds, those minutes, those hours, those days, it was used up. But now you're able to utilize. And the only time you're able to utilize is in the present. To bring forth what you actually wish to come forth. Whatever desire it is, it can happen in the actions that you are presenting now. In the consciousness that you have currently. It doesn't have to be overly complex to have revelation. It doesn't have to, and I'm finding that out for myself. That a profound thought doesn't have to come from a complex situation or something that seems daunting. I think many times we think the smartest things come from something that is over our heads rather than under our feet. And it's truly while we're walking that we get to experience the journey, not just how we're thinking about it, not just the imagining of the journey, but rather how you're taking your steps now, because you're here, you're in the present right now. The past can't offer you anything but a memory. But you can but in the present, you can utilize every moment. The past has memories, but the present has moments that you can begin to utilize. And that's awesome. It's funny to go from profound to saying awesome. But if I go deeper into like the actual thing, not the awesome that we use, but rather all in sum total. To be in awe of everything that you're experiencing is awesome. And I think we get to utilize that more the more present we are, the more we release of what we think must happen or what needs to be, and fully accept what is. Acknowledging what is allows us to begin to change. Allows us to sometimes not even change, but take the next step. To ask ourselves, what's next? That is the hugest thing that I feel like is so underappreciated. Maybe a set of skill, maybe a skill set that is so underused, undervalued possibly, of asking ourselves what is next and then pressing forward once we know what it is. I think many times instead of what's next, we reflect on what's already occurred, what's already happened, and try to bring that into these new experiences instead of just being open-minded to what can occur. Open-minded to knowing that this space is going to be utilized way more than what I did with the other one. So I don't need to reflect on what I did with the other one, but rather just be open-minded to what I can do now. In this new opportunity, in this new experience, how much greater this can be, not because the other one wasn't good, but rather that good can always become better. Opening myself up to that. And I know it's true. But sometimes it's really having the belief instead of just thinking. Because to say I think is one thing, but to say I believe holds more weight, honestly. So I think the understanding of profound thought is, yes, thinking, but what becomes and what manifests into real actual reality, to the point where something that was a thought becomes manifested into actuality, is belief. Is belief. And although I keep mentioning this room, and honestly this is like secondary, but what I'm really referring to is whatever that you're seeking, whatever that you're asking, whatever that you're knocking. These are biblical references leading you up to whatever you're praying for, whatever you're asking for, whatever you're in the pursuit of. Don't chase, but do be in the pursuit, because what you chase must run. What you chase must run away. But what you're in the pursuit of is almost in the attracting of. So what you attract must come forward to you. So open up yourself to it. Open up yourself to it. Open yourself to the present and letting that walk yourself toward the future, instead of looking to the past for answers that it just can't give. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate it. Honestly, I do. I mean, we're growing, not only in audience size, which is amazing, but we're just growing in general. Even when the cameras are turned off, we're growing. And I'm just hoping that these videos can be a catalog, if you will, right? A catalog of experiences and growth that is just documented. Not something that is supposed to be so overly digested, or even, better word for that is I'm lacking what I'm trying to say here. But it's not supposed to be overly entertaining, but rather it's just supposed to have purpose, if you will. So hopefully this is that for you. Hopefully these moments give you a moment to take a deep breath, I know the world is moving at such a rapid pace, and it happens for me too. And that's why I make these kind of videos. So no matter whatever you're doing, you don't even have to watch it. You can just open yourself to listen to it. Open your ears and open your hearts to be able to receive whatever this is meant to be for you. And in that, having faith in what your life is meant to be, having faith in what God has for you, as he's guiding you, as he's directing you, and as he's testing you. Knowing that these tests are ultimately building your perseverance, it's ultimately building your patience, it's ultimately building character. That once completed, it will have its perfect work in you, and you will be complete, lacking nothing. Because it won't be anything that you haven't experienced. Therefore, you can open yourself up to new experiences, just as you did the other ones. That being said, I love you. And I hope that you begin to love yourself too. Love yourself where you are currently. Be happy where you are currently. Because this is where you are currently. And if things must change, you change. If things must change, then you do. Because nothing can change if you don't. So open yourself up to what must change. Not just your situations, not just your finances, not just your romantic endeavors, not just your job, not just your grades, but you. The moment you begin to change, it's also the moment that you begin to pull this lever, right? That starts giving you leverage over all of these other things that sometimes we can feel like is out of control, out of our control. But the moment that we pull the lever, the moment that we can control what is in our control, it's the moment that we take advantage and we begin to utilize where we are. I love y'all. Hopefully this was a blessing to you. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.